afternoon. Thanks to everyone who's joining us for our webinar today, and want to express our gratitude for your patience as we got things ironed out with our technology here. We're about to put everyone on mute and go into record mode, and then we'll kick things off. So if you want to go ahead and record. So welcome to the Lighting Technologies Energy Solutions, or LiTES program webinar. This is a webinar where we're going to share the findings of a 3-year program that was funded by the Department of Energy and implemented by NextEnergy in collaboration with Consumers Energy, DTE, and the Michigan Advanced Lighting Controls Training Program, to kind of explore the impacts of advanced lighting control energy savings in small and medium commercial buildings. I'm joined today by additional panelists, Eric McDonald, Aaron Kwiatkowski, Mark Atkinson, and Allison Jaworowski, and we'll be introducing ourselves in each of our respective sections. My name is Natalie Osborne, and I'm with NextEnergy, and I'm the Director of Smart Grid Initiatives here with our organization. This program and material was supported, as I mentioned, with funding from the U.S. Department of Energy through their Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energies Building Technologies Office. And so as part of that, we're just required to provide this acknowledgement and disclaimer here. Give a little background on how this project came to be. In 2018, the Design LiTES Consortium explored the energy savings potential of lighting technologies, including advanced lighting controls, and identified that there is about 78 terawatts of energy savings that could be associated with advanced lighting controls. And in the context of the LiTES program, we look at advanced lighting controls or network lighting controls, so ALC, NLC here, per the Design LiTES Consortium definitions of qualified systems, and that those systems are networked, addressable and programmable, and also implement 3 minimum control strategies of occupancy sensing, daylight harvesting, and high-end trim. So what is the LiTES program, and what did we set out to do? Well, as a team, we set out to develop and deploy contractor training. We had a goal of training 100 contractors through the program with our partner through the Michigan Advanced Lighting Controls Certification Program. We also sought to successfully deploy demonstration and technology projects of advanced lighting controls in small and medium commercial buildings. And through those demonstration projects, we perform measurement and verification to identify the energy savings potential, the energy savings results, the impacts on greenhouse gas emission reductions, as well as what were the impact of utility incentives, what was the cost benefit of implementing those utility incentives, and evaluate the experience of the building owners and property managers participating in the program, contractors participating in the programs in terms of their experience with installing advanced lighting controls, as well as just feedback from the series of trainings that we did. As we set out to embark upon the program, we worked with our partners, DTE and Consumers Energy, to implement specific incentives within their respective energy efficiency program portfolios that were specific to the small and medium commercial customers. And later in the presentation, both DTE and Consumers Energy will provide information on their advanced lighting control incentives for 2020. So in regards to contractor training, throughout the course of the program, we trained 310 industry professionals through a variety of training offerings. We mentioned the Michigan Advanced Lighting Controls Certification Program that was implemented in partnership with the local IEBW, where we trained a number of contractors specifically on how to install these technologies and the value and benefits of installing these technologies. Both DTE and Consumers Energy provided a significant number of half-day utility trade ally sessions where they not only shared with their trade allies the value of advanced lighting controls, how to market advanced lighting controls to their customers. They also provided information on the available incentives and how to apply for and the incentives for their customers. There was a commercial distribution channel training where we worked with a distributor to provide training to distributors, as well as educate them on the available incentives in the marketplace. And a LiTES summit that was held in May 2015 where we brought together industry experts to provide a full day of educational sessions and presentations on advanced lighting controls. So in the course of the program, through our measurement and verification reports, as well as a utility recommendations report, which will be publicly available later this month, we came across three key findings. We learned that energy savings specific to advanced lighting controls in small to medium commercial buildings averaged about just over 29%. And I think it's important to note that those energy savings are energy savings above and beyond the LED savings realized. Those are specifically attributed to the advanced lighting control systems. The measurement and verification sites that we analyzed were also shown to net an energy savings of just under 500 and 1,600,000 kWh, which resulted in just under 300 metric tons of avoided CO2. Through our surveys with building owners, property managers, utilities, trainees that participated in the program, we also learned that market education and continued utility incentives are still necessary to break down barriers and continue to increase the adoption of advanced lighting controls. I think we're aware that more education was needed, but it was really great to get the feedback on the programs in terms of what people appreciated, our participants appreciated about the incentive programs, and what specific market education they needed, which we'll share a little bit more on later in this presentation. At this point, I'm going to transfer the presentation over to Eric McDonald, who will dive a little deeper into the measurement and verification process and results.
Thank you. My name is Eric McDonald. I'm the Director of Testing and Infrastructure at NextEnergy. And what we're trying to do from this study is get actual results and actual numbers. There have been other studies done before, which are mostly survey results, but we wanted to find out actual kilowatt hours saved and greenhouse gas emissions that were reduced as a result of this. So the first thing to do was we needed to identify the 10 M&V sites. We worked with our partners, DTE and Consumers Energy, to come up with the sites. Consumers Energy and DTE cover approximately 90% of Michigan's utility distribution network. So we figured they would have a good network of customers who would be interested in putting in advanced lighting controls. The properties we were looking at were going to be under 100,000 square feet, and DTE commercial buildings that DTE and Consumers Energy had direct connection to. What we found was 10 sites. 4 of those sites were metered by NextEnergy, and 6 of the sites were metered by Consumers Energy. One of the sites that NextEnergy found was a DTE office, and the other 6 sites that were done by the utility were metered by Consumers Energy. What we went through was used 8 meters at sites, and 2 of these sites were using the data loggers that were on the advanced lighting controls. All of the information was plus or minus 2% accuracy, so we were using revenue grade meter accuracy on these sites. What we did was we needed to find the lighting controls that were met ASHRAE standards, ASHRAE 90.1, the 2013 version, and that is energy standards for buildings excluding low-rise residential. From that information, we were able to come up with this data that you see on the tables, and the lowest was 3.67% energy savings, and the highest was 46.5% energy savings. All of the buildings were commercial. They varied from educational buildings, warehouses, manufacturing facilities, schools, and training centers. To get the information as far as lighting and how much the savings were, there was one site that we had a baseline energy readings. The rest of them were all extrapolated from the information that we received from the meters. That was because most of the facilities wanted to have their metering done and receive their incentives payments in a timely manner. So the next one is the greenhouse gas emission reductions. And we found that we were able to reduce 299 metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions from this program. That was pretty a substantial amount. It was more than what we were looking for as part of the program.
Thanks, Eric. This is Natalie again, and I'm going to dive into a little bit about our utility incentive recommendations report and process. In order to pull together, we were asked to explore the utility incentives, identify incentives in the market, and pull together a report on recommendations. In order to do that, we developed a number of survey questions that we solicited feedback from utilities on. And in regards to the report, we solicited feedback from 16 utilities. We received feedback from 4 utilities, both of our respective partners, consumers and DTE, of course, as well as an additional investor-owned utility and 1 municipal utility. We identified quite a number of incentives in the market that expanded beyond the 16 utilities that we actually solicited for feedback on our surveys, but we found that incentive structures varied quite significantly across the market. Everything from a set incentive per watt and controlled to set incentives per fixture installed. Additionally, incentives also varied in range across the different alternatives we identified in the market. As part of the program with regards to the 10 M&V sites and actually the additional sites that we implemented demonstration projects at, a total of 27 sites, we worked with our utility partners to develop a utility incentive cost analysis. And what we did here is we looked at the project costs for the various installed systems and system technologies for the demonstrations across various locations in the state. We took into consideration the incentives that our utility partners provided on the projects, compared those against our energy savings realized for the projects. And as you can see here, some pretty interesting and significant results. In terms of the cost per square foot controlled, on average, we saw systems at about $3.41, and so that'll be the 4th column there from the right of your screen. The range was about 52 cents to $8.55. On average, for the cost of the system per kWh energy savings, we saw about 66 cents. And from the utility perspective, in terms of their investment, they were able to realize on average 11.91 kW reduced per incentive dollar spent. Overall, utility incentives were shown to range anywhere from 4% of the project cost up to 50%, averaging just under 23% of the project cost that was offset with the benefit of utility incentives. It is important to note that the utilities, both consumers and DTE, actually have a 50% cap, so they will incentivize the advanced lighting controls projects up to 50% of the project cost. So as you can see here, one of the project sites did indeed reach their cap. So now we're going to dive in a little bit into the industry surveys that we deployed within the market to help further inform the measurement and verification report, as well as the utility incentives recommendation report. We surveyed 5 different participant groups: the utilities, of course, to inform the utility recommendations report, as well as the participating demonstration and measurement and verification sites, non-participating sites, which were sites that expressed interest in an advanced lighting control system through one of the programs, yet elected not to install a system, the participating installation contractors, as well as the trainees that participated in one or more of the available training sessions we held over the 3-year program. The slide also provides a breakdown of the percentages and the types of roles and responsibilities for the participants providing feedback. So what did we learn from our utilities? Well, as I mentioned, we solicited feedback from 16 utilities, and with the 4 utilities that responded, we learned that utilities are definitely in favor of providing incentives. They think that they're extremely valuable to their customers. They see that there's value to providing them. And with the 4 utilities surveyed, we did see a variety of incentives provided. One utility had a per kWh saved incentive structure. Another utility had a per kW reduced incentive structure. One utility had a per square foot controlled, and of course the 4th utility a per watt controlled. So we actually received feedback on 4 different types of utility incentive programs. One of the utilities that did respond did share with us that while they had some projects, they weren't clear on the number of participating contractors within the program. And unfortunately, the municipal utility, while they had a program, they had yet to have participation within their program, and they felt that was attributed to their ability and their incentive level, and unfortunately restrictions in not being able to increase their utility incentive level due to their budgets and funding. But they were hopeful to have some participation in the future. This slide also provides some information on kind of the overall incentives that were provided by both of our partner utilities and the additional investor-owned utility, as well as the overall kWh that was achieved within their programs and that could be benefit to their respective utility incentive portfolios. So in regards to our demonstration and M&V sites, we wanted to make sure that we had, with regards to the surveys, a good cross-section across multiple different types of small and medium commercial buildings. As Eric mentioned earlier, we felt confident in our distribution, crossing multiple small and medium sectors, from office spaces to technology, training centers, manufacturing facilities, etc. When they were asked about kind of their satisfaction with the programs, you'll see that pretty much all of the buildings certified were pretty pleased or more than pleased with the installation and the performance of their advanced lighting systems. Additionally, we asked them about their savings, and most of the participants surveyed, and building owners surveyed, indicated that the savings that they realized were as expected. And we attributed that to a lot of the verbatim feedback comments in that a lot of the savings that their contractors had projected for them were on target with what they actually realized with the installed system. We also asked a series of questions regarding what kind of strategies they implemented with their advanced lighting control system. And you can see here, in terms of the strategies, they run quite the gamut from occupancy sensing all the way down to energy monitoring, as well as some feedback on the non-energy savings benefits that were realized from the projects. And this is where we took a look at, we were interested in hearing about these results because it went beyond just energy savings, and how could we create more information within the market around these non-energy savings benefits. And so we heard a lot of feedback on just improved lighting levels, employee comfort, and the value that building owners really saw in implementing these technologies. It's important to note that advanced lighting controls strategies and kind of different benefits have the ability to tie into systems such as energy management systems, building management systems, tie in with HVAC systems. Unfortunately, many of the building owners and the projects that participated within our program did not implement their advanced lighting controls with these systems. However, we did have feedback from one of our sites, a manufacturing customer that actually installed systems at multiple sites, that indicated they were extremely pleased with advanced lighting controls and continued to learn from their control system. They had hopes of integrating their advanced lighting control system with their HVAC system at one time. And anecdotally, in the face-to-face surveys that we had with our M&V sites, also shared that one of the things that they experienced within their facility in running their manufacturing schedule, they had half-day Fridays and were finding that the lights were coming on even though they weren't working. And they were able to attribute that to air intake units in the ceiling that were near their sensors, and were working on strategies to kind of put up a barrier or block to prevent that and realize additional energy savings benefits. So in regards to questions on the impact of utility incentives, the feedback was fairly split that utility incentives made the decision easier to install, or they could not have installed the incentives installed the projects without the incentives. You do see that there were a couple respondents who indicated they would have gone ahead and installed projects without the incentives. It's important to note that these were some training centers, specifically our IEBW partners that were installing the projects to help train the contractors and electricians that were installing these systems. And so for them, installing the advanced lighting controls within their facilities was really a way to showcase the technologies, provide hands-on experience as they provided training. We asked questions around the system benefits versus the installed costs, and you'll see that responses were fairly split around system benefits outweighing the cost to install, or system benefits versus installed costs being as expected. In regards to the non-participating sites, and these were sites that, as I mentioned, expressed an interest, either reached out to a utility about participating in an incentive program, or a facility that we reached out to regarding installing a project, yet decided for some reason or another not to install a system. So they shared a number of reasons on why they were exploring systems. For the most part, reasons for exploring systems across non-participating sites as well as measurement and verification and demonstration sites was seeking additional ways to reduce energy and those energy efficiency savings, as well as hearing about utility incentives and having contractors share that the incentives were available. A couple of these sites had heard about the advanced lighting controls through either trainings they attended through our program or contractor trainings, or they had someone on staff that recommended the installation of the project. In regards for reasons not to pursue a system installation, we learned that for the most part, it was payback costs to install the system, just costs either falling beyond their payback criteria or return on investment criteria internally, even with utility incentives, not driving down those costs further enough for them to put them over the fence to install the system. But we did also receive some feedback that they were either still exploring or another barrier was that they didn't feel that they had the on-site staff that could actually maintain, operate, or stay on top of the advanced lighting control system or the complexity of the system. In regards to feedback from our contractors and installers that participated in the program, we asked a series of questions just to get a sense for how many projects they actually installed. Most of the contractors were contractors that were utility trade ally partners that installed a variety of technologies, not necessarily always just primarily lighting focused. And what we found that most of them, 50% of them had experience with only about 5 to 10 systems installed overall. We did have one contractor that indicated they had installed well over 200 systems. Contractors, for the most part, felt that system installation was either, fairly straightforward, above average, or easy to install. But we did have a couple contractors that did express that they continued to have some challenges in the complexity. When we looked at verbatim comments around the complexity of installing systems, they tended to just speak to challenges with programming the system or understanding the various system technologies across different advanced lighting control systems, as there's just a variety of control systems in the market. And trying to be an expert on all the different types of control systems in the market. Similar to the measurement, verification, and demonstration sites, we asked contractors to provide feedback on the types of strategies that they installed, both energy saving strategies and non-energy savings benefits that their customers realized. As part of the program, since scheduling and having networked systems were part of the DLC, occupancy sensing are part of the DLC requirements, you'll see that 100% of contractors had experience with scheduling, continuous dimming, occupancy sensing. As we kind of move down the list, you'll see that fewer and fewer contractors had experience with installations integrating advanced lighting controls with building management systems or energy management systems, or looking at ways for advanced lighting controls to support their customers with load shedding or demand response. We didn't have any contractors that indicated they'd had experience integrating the systems with HVAC controls. In speaking to the non-energy savings benefits, similar to the building owners and property managers, contractors said their customers often provided feedback on the improved lighting levels, improved employee morale, the health and safety benefits of having that increased lighting. We did have a little bit of feedback from contractors on the benefits of implementing advanced lighting controls with security systems, so being able to know when there was occupancy in the building or in that area of the building, and tying that into security cameras, or getting signals if there was activity or lights turned on when they're after hours. As well as integration with kind of conference room scheduling and knowing when conference rooms were not scheduling, and being able to dim down or turn off the lights in those areas. So as I mentioned, we held a number of trainings throughout the program. And so we asked participants and attendees of the training to provide us feedback on just the value of the training they were receiving. Over the course of the feedback, you'll see that we were glad to see, I guess, that our participants found the training we provided through the LiTES program, either through our utility partners or through the Michigan Advanced Lighting Control Certification Program or training program, extremely valuable or very above average of value. We also were grateful and excited to see that participants thought that attending the training really helped give them a better understanding of advanced lighting and network lighting system technologies, and also help them better market these technologies to their customers as contractors or educate themselves about the technologies within their facilities. At this point, I'm going to pass the presentation over to Aaron with Consumers Energy, who will share a little bit more about Consumers programs.
Thanks, Natalie. Good afternoon. My name is Aaron Kwiatkowski, and I'm currently the Program Manager for Consumers Energy's Network Lighting Controls Program. My intent today is just give you a brief overview of our 2020 program. For our NLC programs, our incentives can be awarded based on fixture savings and control savings. That would equal a retrofit project. However, if the customer's facility already has LED lighting, we can award an incentive based on control savings if a system is implemented. The incentive values are determined by the total square footage of the footprint of the building and facility type, and our incentives are available for interior, exterior, and new construction applications. However, ASHRAE 90.1 guidelines will come into effect for the new construction projects. Our two programs, we currently have one for facilities greater than 100,000 square feet. This is a two-tiered incentive. Basically, anything that is not manufacturing, industrial, or parking will be awarded 25 cents. Anything else will be the 18-cent program or incentive tier. A couple guidelines of the program. Each participating project must incorporate a minimum of 3 control strategies throughout the network scope. For facilities of this size, energy reporting is required on the system so consumers can validate the savings, and as Natalie mentioned before, the final incentive will be capped at 50% of the project cost. So going back to ASHRAE, if a project is a new construction and is in our program, the definition of ASHRAE right now for the state of Michigan is occupancy and daylight harvesting control is required. So essentially, the customer can use those 2 strategies within their network lighting project. However, those 2 will not count as the minimum of 3 since those are required by code. So essentially, in a new construction project, you will have at least 5 strategies implemented. On the other side, for facilities less than 100,000 square foot, this is where the LiTES program came into play for consumers. This is a one-tiered incentive that's offered at 25 cents per kWh saved. Again, like the other program, at least a minimum of 3 strategies will be required. The main point of this program is the system does not need to have energy reporting. Consumers will self-log the facility to validate the energy savings. And again, the project is capped at 50% of the final project cost. This next slide is just the 2 pages that are required to get an application kind of going or get the ball rolling. Our complete application is 42 pages. However, with NLC, we basically need page number 6, which is the customer info page, and page 13, which the NLC portion starts in the middle of that page. These are what are required for the nuts and bolts or the backbone of the NLC project. Next slide, please. This last slide is just my contact information. If anybody would have more questions or need any clarification, I'm more than happy. You can give me a call or send me an email, and I'd be more than happy to talk through your questions for your potential project. That's it for me. I'll send this back to Natalie. Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron. And now we're going to shift the mic to DTE to have them share about their 2020 programs.
Hi, my name is Allison Jaworski. I'm the Program Manager of the DTE Energy Efficiency Program for Business. DTE was very happy to be able to partner with the DOE and the LiTES program we recognized our customers were installing LEDs and that this is a new technology that could gain even further, deeper savings for our customers. And we want them to be able to take advantage of that. And to do so, we've continued our training efforts and offered enhanced incentives for 2020, our program year. And I'm going to introduce Mark, our resident program energy expert, lighting expert, to dive a bit more into the details.
Thanks, Allison. Yep, my name is Mark Atkinson, energy advisor with the DTE Energy Efficiency Program. And we're glad to bring out the 2020 portion of the network lighting controls. Obviously, working with LiTES over the past few years, our incentives have changed quite a bit from our conception. So this year, we are kind of continuing as last year. We are incorporating the changeouts from old existing lighting to the new LED fixtures, as well as giving a increase if you go to adding controls to that. We have a two-tiered system as well. Our first tier kind of incorporates the three strategies that are listed on the application that you see there, as well as taking into account the fixture changeout. And then tier 2 also has the fixture for a DLC compliance. The incentives can be thank you. So the incentives can be up to 80% of our base incentives. We also, for this year, included new construction is eligible. So if you see on the bottom of that application page, there's a hammer and a wrench that indicates the new construction measure. Like I mentioned, for Tier 1, it has to have at least 3 of the following capabilities that you see on the slide. And then you would do the fixture change out based on ceiling height. So anything less than 15 feet would be our measures LO 20 through 29, and then anything over 15 feet would be LO 40 to 45. So for this measure, if the controls are not DLC certified, you can find the incentives for the controls portion on page 6. As I mentioned before, like I said, the DLC portion, so if you are using a DLC compliant network lighting controls, you would still do the fixture changeouts accordingly, and then on LO 52, you would let us know the controlled portion of the space, and it's paid on a $800 per 10,000 square feet. If you have any questions, my contact information is here. You can feel free to give us a call at the program, and we'd be glad to answer any of your questions.
Thanks, Mark. In regards to the program, I know we did a high-level overview of our measurement and verification findings, as well as our utility recommendations report and survey findings. As part of the LiTES program, we'll have 3 available program reports that do a much more significant dive into these findings, including providing the survey responses received, copies of the survey questions, samples of the application forms that were used for both Consumers Energy and DTE through the course of the program. Also, information on kind of the curriculum around our Michigan Advanced Lighting Controls training program that we worked in partnership with the local training center here to provide and implement within the state of Michigan. So the LiTES Utility Incentive Recommendation Report was provided to the DOE in October of last year, followed shortly thereafter by the Measurement and Verification Report. And we are in the final stages of finalizing the final technical report for the overall program findings. All three of these reports will be available on the NextEnergy LiTES website mid to later this month, and we will also make sure that attendees of the webinar that we send out a link to where you can find those program reports once they're posted. We'll also be following up with the slides from today's presentation, as well as a recording of the webinar if you want to share this with other colleagues within your networks that were unable to attend today. In regards to questions received through the course of this webinar, we were monitoring the question and answer section of the of the chat feature, and we've logged the questions, and we will be responding to questions and following up with all of the attendees with the questions provided. So in closing, we also have provided the contact information for both Eric and I here at NextEnergy, as well as a link to our LiTES program website. So we'd just like to thank you for joining us today and attending our LiTES program webinar findings. Thank you.